talk the tales of several animals. When the college student sent his stories to major publishers, they reacted with horror. In the report on his findings, which also included the responses from the editors he queried, the student explained that all of the events in the stories were modeled after classics such as Little Red Riding Hood, Hansel and Gretel, and Three Blind Mice. So, who thinks that, alright, well the question is which of the following was most likely motivating the student to conduct such a study? Who said A, he wanted to win a job at a major publishing house? Who said B, he wanted to investigate how cultural standards have changed? Alright, yeah, you guys are all right. Well, you were right too, Pat. No, that was, every single one of you got it right, actually. It's B, he wanted to look at how cultural standards have changed. Alright, how about number 2? In sense 5, the word queried means...
Everyone take a poll.
What was it? B.
I didn't say a word.
Hey.
You said B, Bobby Joe? Yeah. That is correct. Alright, so for those of you who have not presented your posters, who has not presented their posters? Alright, would you guys want to present now? You can stand up by your posters over there. I have displayed them for you.
What are you doing today?
We're going to talk a little bit about direct characterization and indirect characterization.
Do we get any free
And
time?
pass your daily starters into Bobby Joe.
Do we get any free time?
We're going to be working on it independently, but then we're going to work. Alright, so Bobby Joe, you have the symbol of mice. Do you want to talk about your poster?
Not really, but, for the quotes I put down for it, I tied it into my kind of explanation of the symbol. For the explanation of the symbol, I put the symbol, mice represents Lenny's simplicity and his otherness. After all, human carry dead mice in their pocket to stroke. Mice could also play a role in demonstrating Lenny's strength. Without knowledge of his power, he accidentally kills the mice by pinching their heads. The symbol appears in chapter 1. To represent his strength, I pet them, and pretty soon they bit my fingers, and I pinched their heads a little, and they was dead, from page 11. And to represent his simplicity or otherness, I don't know why I can't keep it. It ain't nobody's mouse, from page 10.
Alright, that was really good. We've seen the symbol of the mouse come up. In the first chapter we saw it. This symbol has come up again and again. Every time that he picks up a mouse, he kills it. He crushes it because he doesn't know his own strength. The mouse is small, it's a lot weaker than him. When he pets it, he wants to pet it, he doesn't mean to hurt it, but he ends up killing it. So we could say that this symbol is standing for Lenny, not understanding his own strength, not understanding social norms, or a symbol for death, and something stronger killing something weaker. You guys, one of you guys?
Rock, paper, scissors, cold.
I'm already going. I had physical strength. One of my quotes was, he ain't very small, ain't small at all, because he's a bigger guy than the rest of the people. And my other quote was, behind him walked his opposite, a huge man. And my explanation was, Lenny is a big guy. He doesn't know how to use his power and causes more trouble than good. He doesn't know how big and strong he really is.
Alright, that's really good. That's true. And we've seen this motif again come up in the most recent section that we read. Where did we see physical strength come up in the most recent chapter?
Where he grabs Curly's fist and breaks it.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't even mean to. He holds Curly's fist and literally pulverizes his fist and is just frightened of the fact that Curly's there flopping around on the ground. He definitely does not understand his own strength. We're seeing also examples in Curly, who is a smaller guy, having the urge to kind of impose his strength on someone who he sees as easily intimidated by him. When he's being picked on, he picks the weakest person in the room to attack at that point, which he perceives to be Lenny. Even though Lenny is strong, he's still mentally very weak. So Curly monopolizes on that and tries to attack him. It does not work in Curly's favor. All right, and Alexis, do you want to tell us how to
I said, hopes and dreams as a motive is important to the story, because Lenny and George have a dream to work until they get enough money to get the house that they want. Thinking about the home that they have helps get them through what they have to do. And for quotes I put, okay, someday we're gonna get the jack out of here and we're gonna have a little house, a couple of acres and a cow and some pigs. And then we'll have a big vegetable patch and rabbits and a rabbit hutch and kitchen, chickens. And then that's their house.
Nice, very good. That was solid. And we have seen hopes and dreams come up again and again. Like she said, they have this dream to get land of their own, to own property, and to not be working on someone else. Basically, they don't want to be working for a boss anymore. They want to be having their own land. They want to have something of their own. And a little place where they talk about, you know, if the carnival comes to town, we can just say, we don't want to work today, we want to go to the carnival. And this is kind of their dream that keeps them going. They don't have much fulfillment in their lives. They don't have much to look forward to. So this dream is really something that they don't even know for sure if it will ever happen, but they keep it in their hearts. And when they're feeling sad, George kind of retells this story to Lenny. They tell it and they bond over it. So it's really a source of strength for both of them. Yeah, that was really good, you guys. So we're going to talk a little bit today about direct and indirect characterization that we've seen in the novel so far. And have you guys gone over in your classes before direct and indirect characterization?
I don't think so.
What's that?
We'll find out. All right, so get the lights back here. All right, so you guys can take some notes on this. I would definitely copy down the definitions. They're pretty brief, so direct and indirect characterization. Characterization is how the author goes about communicating traits and characteristics of the characters that are in the story. So, if we're talking about direct characterization, there are two types, direct and indirect. Direct is information given about a character directly by the narrator. So, some examples of that. He was a tall man with green eyes and brown hair. How is that being directly given by the narrator?
Because it's telling what exactly he has,
Exactly.
like directly towards him or about him.
Exactly. It's just the narrator saying he was a tall man with green eyes and brown hair. There's really no guesswork there. That's exactly what he's telling you is what that man is. Another example, she had a charming smile. If she has a charming smile, it's being told by the narrator. It's objective. It's not even another character saying she has a charming smile. It's not coming from a biased point of view. It's just the narrator telling you she has a charming smile. You don't have to do any inferring. You don't have to do any guessing. You just read the information, and what you see is what you get with direct characterization. Anyone still need some time with this one?
You need to write all of it down too.
I wrote 2 words.
again, direct is just information given about a character directly by the narrator. Okay, so indirect can be a little bit more tricky. It's still another way that the author is characterizing someone in the story. Indirect characterization is information which the reader infers about a character based on his or her actions, appearance, speech, or background. So, if the author says that a character does something, and you can make an inference about that character's personality based on her actions or his actions, then that's indirect characterization. So some examples of indirect characterization. He pulled the chair backward just as she went to sit down. How is that indirect characterization?
I'm inferring that he's chivalrous.
Okay, I was kind of meaning it in a joking way, like he pulled the chair out from under her. But either way, yeah, you're drawing conclusions based on his actions.
He's a jokester.
He's a jokester.
Or he's just mean.
Yeah, maybe both.
He's a butthead.
Although she didn't know them, she held the door and smiled warmly as they passed through. So what would you infer about that character?
She's nice.
She's nice. So you're looking at her actions, and you're evaluating her based on what she does. So it's not saying she's nice. It's saying she held the door even though she didn't know them. So from that, you can gather that she's a nice person.
Right.
Are you guys good on this slide?
Yep.
I'll go back to them at the end so you can get down anything you missed. Alright, so these are some examples from the earlier chapters. So, number 1, Lenny dabbled his big paw in the water and wiggled his fingers so the water arose in little splashes. Rings widened across the pool to the other side and came back again. Lenny watched them go. Look, George, look what I done. What is that? What type of characterization is that? Who thinks it's direct characterization? Who thinks it's indirect? Alright, so we're pretty agreed. Colton, why do you think it's indirect?
Well, like how on the indirect one it was saying like he, and up there, like Lenny dabbled his big paw. Like it's
So it's
from the
directly about him.
yeah.
Okay, so basically it's indirect because you're getting the actions of the character. So what can we infer about Lenny based on this quote?
He likes to play in the water.
He likes to play in the water,
He's easily entertained.
Kinda
easily
like Kate.
entertained.
He's stupid.
Basically, yeah, he's less than average intelligence for his age. I mean, he's a grown man. It's not common for you to see a grown man dabble his big paw in the water, wiggle his fingers around and say, look what I've done. I mean, we can infer from that that he's not very intelligent. So, based on the fact that we're inferring, that would mean that it's indirect characterization because you're making that inference based on what the author's telling you about the character. And then number 2, a young laboring man came in. His sloping shoulders were bent forward, and he walked heavily on his heels as though he carried the invisible grain bag. What would you say that
Direct.
type of characterization is? Direct. Why is it direct?
It's like really descriptive, like, but no, this is
it just describes him. It's just straight up the author saying his sloping shoulders were bent forward. He has sloping shoulders. So that's just something that the author is telling you. The author is stating that fact directly. There's no room for guesswork. You can say, I know he has sloping shoulders because that's what the author is telling you in this quote. Are there any questions on direct and indirect? Alright, we're gonna do a little handout, and basically you're going to go through the 3 chapters that we've read so far and look for examples of direct and indirect characterization for each one. So, for each character, find 2 quotes, one direct, one indirect, which tell the reader about an important trait of that character. In the direct and indirect characterization column, mark a D if the quote is direct characterization, and mark an I if the quote is an example of indirect characterization. So, all you have to do is find one example of direct, one example of indirect for each character, and write down what the quote is with the page number therein. No partners on this one, it's individual, but you'll have the rest of the period today to work on it, and then you will also have some time tomorrow in class to work on this.
There's a back.
There's a back too, so you're gonna look for quotes about George, Lenny, Slim, Candy, Carlson, Curly, and Curly's wife.
Curly stuff was like 8 minutes actually in that free time.
No free time today, but we are gonna keep working on this.